Michael Lee. So what's your favorite food? I really like make-out food, like mashed potatoes, steak, stuffing, turkey. I love cooking turkey.
My favorite food? Well, I love lots of different kinds of food. Every day is kind of different depending on the weather and stuff. But I think, at any given time, I could definitely go for Italian food. I love Italian food. It's just so hearty.
Oh my goodness, I'm a total foodie. It would be hard to say favorite. I think I go through like little spurts where sometimes I will eat excessively the same foods for a few days. I love everything from fruits and veggies, honestly, to donuts, cookies, ice cream, oatmeal. Although I'm lactose intolerant, lactate works really good. Yeah, it's really hard to say. Sushi, pizza, like pasta. There's not too much that I don't like.
Dolly Yang asks, have you guys ever thought about collaborations with other artists or bands? And if so, who would you guys want to collaborate with? Personally, I can speak for myself, I guess. I've always thought about collaborating with other artists and other bands, but one artist that I think would, work really well with us would be Vu Peter. I've always had this like rap slash like rock kind of thing going on in my head, and I've always kind of wanted to kind of try to put the two together. And I think he is an amazing artist, not only a musician but also a vocalist and a rap artist as well too. So I think it'd be a really good thing. If I was going to collaborate with any band, I think one of the bands that I would collaborate with would be Reflections. Only because like those guys are a great bunch of musicians. They're great people. And I just think that the chemistry would just come together. Even though our music genre is a little bit different, I think that the chemistry that we have together as friends will definitely make up for that, and we'd come out with something amazing.
Chatya Vu asks, what is one song you look forward to the most when performing at events? What's dear to my heart, that really stands out and resonates for me is Dai Blong Dong. I really enjoy playing that song. From the first time I heard the scratch tracks to Jinu's guitar, that it just spoke to me, and the ambience that it presents and the response of the audience, it hypes me up. It fills me with energy. It gives me a sudden rush.
And then next question from Sina Lee. Who is still single and available? So the only single and available is Pat. She's still single. Jinu is single too, but he's not available right now. Joe, Roger, and myself are all married.
Bruce Vang says, what would it take to get a better recording of Ka Pun Ja Ku Lao from the first album? The only versions I've heard are the live version and a less than stellar recording of the song from years ago. I think Pat's voice really shines in that song, and it's my favorite. I don't see why we can't do another version. I guess it's just, if we get 100 likes, we'll do it. No, I'm just kidding. 1,000. If we get 1,000 likes, Bruce, we will do a studio recording.
So Jerry Vang asked, the process of writing, composing, arranging, and recording of your music, what has to be the most difficult process, and how long of a process is it to make one song? One tip each one of you have for future musicians who are writing, producing a song. The most difficult process would be getting all the band members together in one room and kind of having a full session to complete a song. Usually how we write a song is either I would have a short piece, or one of us would have like a 10, 20, 30-second piece, and we might sit on it for like a few weeks to a few months or to a year before we even show anybody. A song could take anywhere. It depends if we pick up momentum on it. If it sounds good right off the bat, it could be as fast as like, a few days, or whereas we're kind of just like, about it. It'll probably take a few months, maybe up to a year. Some of the songs did take a while for it to take off. So future musicians, a tip for each one of you guys on producing a song. I would say, try to get the band together. Or if you're by yourself, show it to other people. Show some clips to your close friends, family members, or really close musicians that you're really close with, that you trust. and they might have some extra tips for you. If not, if you're not digging it after 10, 20, 30 seconds, move on, write something else, right? Maybe that part eventually will come together, or that'll just be its own song. So yeah.
Nancy Tao asks, if you weren't famous, what would you be up to right now? I think we're always so busy trying to just be that inspiration, just to create the best version of ourselves, that we never really have time to enjoy that fame thing. To answer the question, if I wasn't famous, I would probably be at home, sitting on my lazy boy couches, watching Netflix, and concentrate on my career. I think my career is a big thing, but the music is an awesome escape from that. Like, have a hard day at work, you come home, you go to the studio, jam it out, come home, and you feel good, feel energized, and get up and go do it all over again.
The next question from Asia Yang. Who writes the song and who composes? Who has the final say? And do you guys argue as siblings even with the band? Most of the songs are done by Joe and Pat mainly. Most of the time we work together, but yeah, credits will go to Joe, Pat, and Chinu. They do most of it. Final say will be the band as a whole. If anyone disagrees in any one way, then we'll stop and we'll relook at it again. But yes, we do. We argue all the time. Being 4 brothers in one room, everybody's, after you've been with each other for so long, you can get temperamental.
All right, so Eddie Tao says, besides your music, what are your jobs/career and hobbies? What inspired you and your siblings to make Suddenrush? I can't answer for the guys, so I'll just quickly answer for myself. We've always been into music. We've grown up around live music. If you guys have followed us, you know that. And Suddenrush is just something that just happened. Like, it wasn't a plan. It just, started with an idea, and then it just evolved to what it is now. So in terms of hobbies, aside from our music, I won't give you guys precisely what I do for a living, but I do work within the driver training industry. I do have a motorcycle license as well. I'm around big trucks a lot. I'm really into health and nutrition. I would think that the kitchen is sometimes dubbed as my laboratory. I love experimenting with food, total foodie. Everybody in the family is really into the outdoors, and living in BC makes that easy for us as well.
Paku Tao asks, what are your future dreams and goals as a band? I think as a band, we just want to obviously continue writing and recording music, putting on more, bigger, more elaborate shows. Basically, as a band, we just want to continue to help grow the Hmong music industry, basically to the point where hopefully it can become like a sustaining job for any artists out there. I know that there's a lot of companies out there like, OAO and YDR that are doing an excellent job at trying to make that happen. But as a band, I think we just want to keep contributing to that. Also, leave something behind for Suddenrush, for the fans. Like, we've started recently like a merchandise line with clothing and hats and whatnot. And we want to definitely grow that aspect of Suddenrush so that when the music's all said and done and we're not recording or writing anymore, we at least have the merchandise that we can still, make available to the fans. So we definitely want to leave our mark and just kind of have it hang as long as we can.
Maiva Ya asked, which song from your first and second album is the one that stands closest to your heart and for the band as a team? First and second. Well, from both albums. We have one song that is actually of both albums that stands closest to me would be Dien Na. It's the very first song we've ever written together. Brings back some cold memories because it was it was around this time that we wrote that song. It was rainy in the middle of winter. Pat picked me up and we went to Joe's place. At that time he was staying in this like basement suite, and we weren't really sure what we were doing. We just kind of put a song together, put a melody together, and we actually ended up with a full song that night, the piano version, which the demo is probably floating out there on YouTube somewhere. But that would be the one that stands out the most to me. Yeah, honestly, I think Dien Na will be the one, even as the band. Yeah.
Okay, so Ta Linda, how did you know you wanted to become a singer? I never really knew that I was going to be a singer or thought I wanted to be a singer, but I've always just loved music, and I always wanted to create stuff, if that makes sense, whether it be art or music, visual arts, or audio stuff. And at first I just wanted to write songs, but we came from a community of Hmong people that was really tiny, and so I think I remember Joe and his band from high school. They had this little band, and I remember writing some songs, and I was like, hey Joe, if you guys want some ideas, I got some things that I worked on, but I was always kind of shy about that. And it didn't really start until I was actually in my early 20s that I actually started really seriously thinking about writing specifically Hmong music. And then it wasn't until more my mid-20s that I was actually starting to share that with my brothers, because I didn't really have anyone else to share it with. And then it just evolved from there. So nothing was planned. We just were doing things that we were passionate about. We had fun doing it, and we just got here.
Okay, I think this is Nuva is asking, what's it like living in Canada? Very much like the States, actually. If you were to close your eyes, come across the border and open them, you would probably think you were in another state. Where we live, I'm going to answer some questions we've been asked. There's no igloos. We do have electricity. And our country is much bigger than the USA. We live in a big city, a very big city, Vancouver, and it's very similar to LA or New York. It's a very central hub where if you drove an hour and a half out, you'd be right into the mountains already. So Canada is very vast. It's just like living in the States, but you can get away quite easily. There's lots of beautiful scenery. In the province I live in, we have less people than just California itself.
All right, so Kalia Hyung says, what inspired you to write your song Jingchwaku? The songs you guys wrote, is it based off of your own experiences or the people around you? Honestly, if I go back and think about when we wrote it, I think, if I remember correctly, I think we were all just kind of sitting around, and then we just kind of wrote it on the spot. Like, in terms of the theme of that song, like, I feel that everybody probably has or will go through some sort of, a situation like that. As Jane Chwaku is kind of about, having a secret crush on somebody and just saying, hey, I'll be there for you. It's a theme that a lot of people, I think, can relate to. So nothing particular, no particular event. I just wanted to write a song that as usual, that I think people can relate to.
Tong Si Tao asks, why did you guys disappear for over 5 years? That's an excellent question. Back in the beginning days of Suddenrush, we would travel to the US from Canada and we would play shows, but we would do so without any sort of paperwork, no working visas or anything. We just kind of came across and hoped for the best. And eventually that caught up to us. What happened was Pat and Ginu ended up getting detained at customs and they ended up getting banned from entering the US for 5 years. So basically from 2010 to 2015, Pat and Ginu were not allowed to enter the US, so we had no choice but to cease all travels to the US. We disappeared from this music scene, but we never stopped recording and writing music, which is why when we were finally able to come back, the first thing we did was release the album that we had held on to for so long. So hopefully that answers your question.
Banya Hyung asks, what makes a song good in your ears? Suddenrush. Dime Blong Dong is still on repeat after all these months. I don't know. There's a lot of different factors, right? Like I mentioned earlier regarding food, it depends on the mood. It's that kind of day where it's raining, you're just sitting out looking at the window, you're kind of kashi, but it's not like you want to listen to kashi music, you want spacey music. So there's that, but a good song to my ears would be good melody. I love melody, good melody lines, and lyrics that really relate, that you can really, really relate to.
Says, can you do a Hmong Green song for your upcoming album? I would be really sketchy about doing it myself The only reason is because I'm not fluent in Hmong, and I would hate to butcher the language. The other thing is to be able to write a song. If I was going to write an original song, it would be quite a bit of a challenge, but I don't think it would be impossible. I think I would definitely, if I did, would have to maybe collaborate with somebody who is more fluent in the language so that I can ensure the grammar and everything is correct so that I don't disappoint you guys.
Okay, Ying Ya asks, I'm curious to who all of your personal individual inspirations are, and also as band, who inspired you all? What is that? What is it that keeps everyone motivated to keep creating and performing? Well, first and foremost, what keeps us motivated by creating and performing is the response from the fans. Personal individual inspirations for me, I think the very first one that I could ever think of would be the old Hmong band, actually from Canada here, that we actually branched off of, or we stemmed out of. They're the main roots of our band. They're called Hmong Canada. They came out in the 80s. Those guys, one of them being my uncle, he's the one that kind of put us on instruments here, and the other uncles in the band as well. We just kind of looked up to them, and they were kind of the guys that got us started. So we actually learned all their music first before we created our own. So as a band, I think all the other Hmong artists out there that are still putting in the work and still putting out music for all of us to listen, that helps inspire us to do the same.
Well, Peng Yang says, is Pat married? Asking for a friend. You know what your answer is? Ask your friend to ask.